In fact, Jesse, why don't we talk about them, all the games, right now?
Every single one.
Every single one of them. Round
Wow.
20 is in the books, everybody. Round 20 is in the books. You can get us, our main podcast, you're listening to now, at @CMPerfect_AFL, 2 YouTube videos. They're all there for you as well. You get this twice if you listen to the podcast. You're welcome. We got lots to talk about, Jesse. A very interesting round of football. What were your thoughts on it?
De facto rivalry round. First of all, it doesn't work. If we're gonna do this, please do rivalry round properly. It is a waste of time to have a derby and a showdown and then Carlton versus Hawthorn.
Fair.
Like,
I understand.
Are we doing it or are we not?
Yeah. I think did they used to do it like years ago,
Yes.
right? Bring it back.
I don't see any sensible reason why we shouldn't just do it all in the same round.
And look, the AFL is all about money at the moment, all about those big ticket items, those big events. Talk about the inter-season cup like the NBA does. They're looking for new ways. Why get rid of something that's going to be an absolute banger of a round? It's going to pull numbers no matter where you go. Just one big epic event.
Well, if you stacked your Victorian rivals correctly, so you're talking Collingwood Carlton would be your main one. Essendon and Hawthorn, they pair together quite well. They're probably your two biggest ones. North Richmond, they came into the VFL at the same time. They can hang out, I guess. St Kilda can have a game against father-son picks if they want. But look, the idea is that you can stack those games throughout the weekend and make it like almost a mini gather round.
Yeah.
But leave the interstate teams to have their rivalry games. And just say, right, Thursday night is this game, Friday night is this game, Saturday is this, Sunday is this for your 8 Victorian clubs, 4 games across the board, and you balance it out.
Yeah, just make sure that Essendon is on Thursday or Friday night, as is tradition. All right, well, let's jump into them, Jesse. We've got 9 games to go through. We're going to start with Thursday night football. The Hawks 13-7, 85, getting it done against the Blues 9-7, 61, in a game that was very important, Jesse, to keep their finals aspirations going. A lot of people tipping Hawks to be the one that finishes 9th. This was a vital win for them.
Yeah, critical win. Just keeping the Barbarians at the gate for now is Sam Mitchell and his Hawthorn side. It was pretty comfortable in the end. I didn't particularly feel for much of this game as though Hawthorn were under sufferance to deny Carlton here. The Blues were, I think, in many ways better than they've been in the last 6 weeks, but also still very clearly off that top 9. And we're really seeing that now, the effects of what a top 9 versus what a bottom 9 looks like, because the chasm between these two sides in terms of ladder position isn't all that stark, but in terms of on-field quality, it's night and day.
Sicily was fantastic as the leading the Hawks in this one of his best games of the year, I would say.
Yeah, it'll take getting back to his best now assists, which is very important, but that Hawthorn backline in general is just very good. I know Sicily can be a character, but there's no real individuals in that backline. I feel like you look at guys like Battle, they just get the job done. Impey, Eamon when he drifts back to help out as well in terms of getting the ball out. They've got a lot of players that are committed to that cause, and when you're talking sides that you want to go deep into September, those are the character traits you're looking for.
On the flip side of the coin, Jesse, we got to talk about. We'll talk about it straight away. Patrick Cripps. What is going on with that man?
The production's off a cliff.
4 kicks, Jesse. 21 centre bounces. Only the 4 kicks. He's on the ground for 84% of the time. It might be a tough question to ask. It might be a bit unfair, but is retirement maybe a bit closer than we thought?
Well, I think we spoke about this a few weeks ago, Liam, is that I don't think Cripps has that Dustin Martin, Patrick Dangerfield string to his bow. I think Cripps is in that Fife mould here, where if they're not able to do their one very specific thing that they are almost the best in the competition at, then they're not effective. Mm-hmm. And right now, if you can make the argument to me that Patrick Cripps was effective on Thursday night, I've got a plot of land in a faraway country to sell you, because it's just simply not true. He's contracted until 2027. I'd be nervous about that if I was a Carlton fan. I would be really nervous about that.
Why's that?
2 more years of that?
Well, I mean, do you reckon there's a chance, though, that this is just a bit of an off year? Next year he bounces back? Or do you reckon it's just he's been around for a while now, his body's not going to let him do it, a la Fife?
I mean, I hope he bounces back, but I mean, you just said it yourself, Liam. We've seen this player before. He's dropped off by an average of 5 disposals off his season last year, and 28's been about him, which is where he was last year. That's a big drop, and I think worryingly for Carlton, other midfielders have gone past him, yet they're still so reliant on him. That's a really awkward spot to be in, because that then leads you to have to make very difficult calls. If a new coach is in 2026, that's going to be the first thing they're going to have to address. What do we do about this?
What to do about Cripps? I think, look, your sentiment at the start was pretty spot on, Jesse. There's not really too much else to really say about this. Hawthorn got it done comfortably. Anything else you'd like to add before we move on to Friday night footy?
O'Farrell looks a good player. There is still hope at Carlton, despite all the doom and gloom this season. They're starting to get some of these lesser lights shooting through. That's positive.
That is always positive. All right, let's move on to Friday. Hello. At Marble Stadium, primetime Bombers. They're back again. 7-8-50 for the Dons. Going down to the Bulldogs, 22-11, 143, the first smashing of many of this round 20. Oh boy. Oh dear.
It is really exciting though.
Okay.
That I get to watch AFL football and say, wow, I could kick a goal on this team. This was... What do you even say here? I mean, we can go... Right? Yes, but we can go over this old ground again. Yes, they have injuries. Yes, they've been out of form. But their veterans are just letting them down. Shield had a big game. I think he might want a new contract. But the amount of just poor performances across the field. I mean, you look at the drafting. The drafting is where this stops us. Go and look at that video on our YouTube if you haven't seen it, where we go through Essendon's drafting since 2017. It's not very good. But this is just the byproduct of 8 years of shocking list management. And we get to hear, yes, the injuries have played a part. No one is going to deny that. But this was coming at the start of the season. Do Bombers fans think they were going to make the 8? I don't think they did. I don't think many were suggesting that. But what we've seen now is the very slow unraveling of the bandages of having fit players to see the mummy that's underneath. And that mummy needs to go back in the tomb and try again next year, because this is just nowhere near. They are the 17th team in the competition in terms of ability right now. They are above West Coast or West Coast alone.
Let's do it like we always do. Let's get the bomberometer out. Where were they, Jesse? Where were they?
They were at a 1.
Ooh, a 1.
This is potentially the worst I've seen them play all season.
Wow.
The Dogs could have easily won this by 130 points.
Well, I mean, if the Dons are going at a 1, the Dogs are probably going at about a 7 or 8. Norton, fantastic. He's really kind of found something this year that we were kind of lacking last year. He's found it this year. And he's starting to kick goals.
I think he gels better with Darcy than he did with Ugelhagen. Because Darcy is able to command more of a defensive presence, whereas Jamar is more of your late pack flyer. Darcy can go early, and I think that really helps Norton, because it means that he gets less attention on him because they have to focus on Darcy. In many ways, the same way that having Tracy kick on is helping Amos out at Fremantle. I think you're seeing the benefits now of players getting that relief and that support and seeing what that can do for them. But Norton was brilliant. So was Darcy, obviously. Bontempelli was fantastic. The Dogs had a day out. It's that simple.
That simple. Really, not much more to add, Jesse. Shall we move on to the other Friday night game, which has got a talking point to it?
That it does.
At NG Stadium, the Giants 15-12, 102, beating the Swans 8-10, 58. Now, Jesse...
What? Are we halfway through the podcast?
Ish, yeah.
Because I'm going to go now, because I've done half the job.
Oh, okay.
And so now I'm going to leave.
Okay, Jesse. Well, thanks everyone for joining us.
No worries. Thank you.
I'll take over the rest, right?
Okay, yeah. I've done most of the talking.
Yes.
So now you do that, and I will just do nothing for 60 minutes.
Unfortunately, Jesse, I don't have the skill at that the Giants had in coming back and defeating Sydney in this particular game.
Very well, I will stay. Because Sydney certainly didn't do that, Liam. And I think we saw a really, really stark warning sign that I've been saying on this podcast for a number of weeks now, that Dean Cox is not that guy. And it's okay for him not to be that guy, but Sydney need to protect their status as a big club and make that call. Chad Warner signed a 2-year deal to take into free agency. If you want to keep Chad Warner, you've got to be winning games of football. They're not winning games of football under Dean Cox. They're not winning. This was embarrassing, wasn't it?
It was. I'm just getting, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just getting some stats up here, Jesse. Give me a second.
Well, you get your stats ready. I'll talk about the Giants because they were superb at coming back from this. Weirdly, the little brother, big brother role was completely reversed here because it was the Giants that had the composure, the Giants that had the nerves of steel, the Giants that had a better game sense, the Giants that had a better coach in the box that understood where the game was at and was able to make changes to get the job done. Callahan, Whitfield, Cameron, you've gone those in your best, Liam. I find that hard to disagree with. Cameron is really starting to command, and it's like they've managed to very slowly bait and switch the competition, saying, everyone look at Jesse Hogan, best ball in the competition, while we have potentially better one over here. Oh, but look at that one. It's working, because now all of a sudden Cadman's here, and he's very scary, and I don't want to be a defender match cup with him for the next decade. But if you want to talk about, gee, I could score goals against this team like I did in the Essendon game, gee, I could shut out a Sydney forward, couldn't I? It's not that hard.
Yeah,
just be near them. They won't mark it. They won't kick a set shot accurately.
Well, score at halftime, Jesse. 3-4 to 7-8 was the halftime score.
So pretty poor from the Giants at that point.
It was. But then 1 goal, 2 total for the Sydney Swans in the entire second half of footy. It's unreal. But Sydney finished with 16 turnovers, having 10 less inside 50s.
16 more turnovers?
16 more turnovers.
Yep.
16 more turnovers, yep. At 10 less inside 50s. I mean, it's really no surprise the Giants were able to fly home with a wet sail.
Absolutely. If you can't hold onto the ball, what hope do you have?
It was quite stunning. I was watching some of this with my pa, and halftime we were like, oh, well, this one's over. I went home. We said good. I was like, good night, Dad. And then next minute,
okay, Dean Cox.
Yeah, well, I know. Well, that's what I did. Maybe that's the problem. Just don't leave at halftime. You should be fine. But it's a good shout on Dean Cox. I think you've mentioned this to me before, like having that such a big club like Sydney having that gumption to make a really big call on whether or not they've made the right decision with Coxie is right there in front of them.
And people will say that's a harsh opinion, and I totally accept that. I stand by this. Cox may turn out to be a good coach, but you're talking a high performance environment, and you're talking one of the maybe 5 or 6 unique clubs in the competition that have a very specific selling point. So your Collingwoods, your Essendons, your Carltons, they have the massive Victorian attraction. Sydney, West Coast, and to a lesser extent, Brisbane and Adelaide have that established club in a different state. Sydney especially, though, given the fact that it is Sydney and that does have its own, I guess, lifestyle drive, you're not going to take advantage of that if you're bad.
Yep.
I mean, it's just not going to happen. They got Lance Franklin when they were very good. I guess Tony Lockett, they were quite bad when Lockett came up, but that's a very different world now. You're still talking most players getting towards the breadline of being completely professional. Like, they're still not being paid ridiculous money. Lockett obviously was. But nowadays, you have to have a unique selling point. They'll be fine with Heaney and Goulden being academy players, so that's one thing they've got in their back pocket. But gee, I'd be very worried about keeping Chad Warner if they're going to turn out these performances for the next 2 years.
Yep. Hard to argue, Jesse. Hard to argue. That's anything more to add before we move on to the next game?
Scary for the Giants. They can really reverse the finals choking last year against Brisbane with a form run like that.
Speaking of Brisbane, let's move on to Saturday. Another one. People First Stadium, the Suns, 20 goals, 10, 130, absolutely pantsing the Lions, 9-10, 64. There was all talk at the start of the game. Are they going to be good without Touk Miller through the middle? Who else are they missing? There was another big name they were missing as well. They're not only were they good, huh?
You tell me.
No. I went into that with such confidence. Then I was like, man, Touk Miller. Touk Miller.
Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. He definitely didn't play. But not only did they manage without those key.
Did you mean Dan Rioli, Liam?
I do mean Dan Rioli. Did you know that the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, why didn't you just tell me? Why did you have to drag me through the glass?
Nah. Subscribe.
Well, that's what they're here. That's here for you, Jesse. You're the footy man.
You're
the footy man. I'm just the colour. But no, not only did they win without Rioli and Touk Miller, they just dominated. They absolutely dominated the Lions. What's happened here? What's happened?
Well, it's an end-to-end performance from the Suns, isn't it? They've commanded home field advantage, which, I think you made that point in Just the Tips, Liam. It is to be respected the way they do play at home. So maybe it's not all just colour for me. Maybe it's a dash of substance mix in there as well. They do play home field very well. The Suns, they have the best, or one of the best midfields in the competition. We can absolutely start saying that with confidence now. This is a top 3, top 4 midfield in the competition, potentially quite comfortable. It's had to better midfield than what the Lions have got. They're getting their keys on the end of it. That's really exciting. That forward mid connection looks really promising for the Suns at the moment. And they've got next man up mentality. You talk about Rioli going out. That's, bad. You don't want to see that happen. You see Touk Miller go out. That's even worse. But look, Len, they've got players that can come in and make an impact regardless.
Alex Davies steps right into the man. He's 30 touches at 83% efficiency. We love efficiency on this podcast.
We do. Well, efficiency is important.
It is.
When it's used correctly.
It is. And 10 tackles. So, that's big for someone who's looking for a spot in a team that's very good. God, having that piece that you can just bring in when you've got your big men out, that's...
like a plug and play.
Like a plug and play. Away you go. Ready-made. Hardwick's doing a good job with those kids. Must be. What about the Lions, Jesse? What's happened here? What is it? Just an off day for them?
Yeah, this is for someone who's very reactionary about certain things. I'm gonna urge caution.
Okay.
On this with the Lions, and I tell you why. I think this is a side that is too experienced to let a loss like this completely derail a season. If this was Adelaide, if this was Fremantle, potentially I'd be saying, okay, go and get every bell you've got in your house and start ringing them because this is alarming. Mm-hmm. I'm not going down that same path with the Lions just yet. Now, they've got a game in round 23 against Fremantle. There's your litmus test for both sides in many ways. If Brisbane go to Perth and get smashed, that's when you're really concerned. If it's a close game, I think you're probably happy either team in terms of going into the finals, assuming both make it. If Brisbane smash Fremantle, then you're just about saying what's even the point of going over for an away elimination final. Not concerning just yet. They wouldn't want a repeat of this. They've had a couple of off games this season. They've also bounced back and beaten the best teams in the competition within a matter of weeks.
Yep. I'm liking the Suns. That's why
it's hard not to.
I've been putting so much confidence in them lately. It's very, very good to see. No, I agree with you, Jesse. Nothing to worry about the Lions just yet. Although, as you know, I've been a bit like ho-hum on them this year.
You have.
This is why. This game specifically.
Do something like this.
I was just waiting for my time. All right, let's move on to the next game. The Western Derby at Optus, 18-18, 126 to the Dockers, 12-5, 77 to the Eagles. A fairly comfortable win in the end for Freo, but boy, how did they try to kick themselves out of it in the second quarter.
Have you ever seen those Facebook videos of someone getting bogged in Lancelin in the sand?
Yeah.
And despite their best efforts, they keep doing the same thing that doesn't work, and they get nowhere, or maybe a grain of sand moves. That was the second quarter for Fremantle, and it was infuriating. Let's talk West Coast first of all.
Sure.
Best game we've seen from Tim Kelly all season.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of stats, I don't think he really hurt Fremantle, but it's still a step in the right direction, and that is worth celebrating. I liked the leading patterns of Archer Reid and Job Shanahan. They had it rough out there against a reliable, experienced defence that Fremantle have. But I like what they offered and what they presented. Now, the midfield connection was dreadful, but that at least showed something. And I think we saw players work themselves into the game. I think Hewitt had a quiet game in terms of stats, but he was always keeping himself busy. Liam Ryan got better as the game went on, I felt, for the Eagles as well. And obviously that spectacular mark.
Cracking mark. Right in front of us as well, which is always fun.
It was brilliant. I'd be quite happy if that one mark of the year. I thought that was excellent.
It was.
It'd be 20s on from McFarlane's mark of the year in a Western Derby, so almost a nice bit of reverse synergy there. I haven't heard Tim Gossich's call for that because his call for McFarlane's was brilliant. I can only hope he topped it for this one. Negatives though for West Coast, there's a few here. Obviously, losing Harley Reid for the rest of the season, that's a huge blow. It looked fairly innocuous from
it did,
what
which
I
is
saw.
not good.
No.
No.
The one thing I would say is Harley Reid physically is very, very well developed for a player of his age. So I'm not as concerned about him missing time and maybe even having a slightly slower start to preseason. I don't think he's a player that needs to have a big preseason going into 2026. There's a lot of players around him in that age bracket that'd be saying, "Oh, that's a problem," even if plenty of players older than him that I'd be a bit concerned about. Reid's not one of those. I do think he'll be fine in that regard. That's not something to panic about. Although the way that West Coast handled Elliot Yo's injury this year, maybe time to subcontract that rehab out because that didn't go very well.
No. And you talk about developing Eagles as well. Like, obviously, there are some signs that they're going to be okay in the next couple of years. Good signs in the air as well. Shanahan, 4 marks. Brock with 3. Bazza with 6. Bazzo.
And Bazza wasn't meant to play. Laid in, so...
Laid in. There you go.
They acquitted himself quite well.
You can understand why the patience is starting to wane for a lot of the Eagles fans. But the signs are there. The signs are there. They got stuff. Like you were saying before, McQualter's dealing with, not the best deck of cards. That's a saying now. He has three aces and a deuce. He's trying to make Wow. See, that is why, Jesse, I don't try to make like.
You know how Lobby says everyone needs to play their role? Did anyone tell that to you, Lam?
No, you didn't. I'm just trying to join in. I went off track. My apologies.
That's okay.
But you get my point though.
I do.
And
I have some negatives as well because unfortunately there's a few of those for West Coast coming out of this. They were poor for most of that game. Matt always had a shocker. That's really starting to feel like a bad deal. They sorely missed Jack Graham in terms of that grunt. The lack of Harley help when O'Meara was comfortably on top of him early. That's a worry. Not in terms of the context, will Harley stay, will Harley go? That's completely out of the scope of this conversation. But he is your star player. There is a complete lack of on-field leadership from guys like Duggan, from guys like Kelly, to guys like Cripps.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is not that hard to shout 40 metres, hey, someone go give Harley a hand. Yeah. Hewitt and Flynn were the only two I actively saw doing it. Both of those, well, one's a year older than Harley. One got to the club last year. You know, it's very easy to bash on the failures of West Coast in the last 5 years. But I think the on-field leadership, when fit veterans have been on the ground, is potentially one of the biggest failures of the lot. Yeah. This can't happen. And it's the type of things that will agitate young players, causing them to have another game with a number of free kicks against, getting frustrated, getting stroppy, getting their mind off the task. And that happened. And we saw that happen in real time. He scored a phenomenal goal, breaking a line. He can pull out a switchblade and get you in a second, Harley Reid. He is that good of a player. Yeah. But you've got to help him. You've got to give him any level of support.
Yeah. Hard to argue. I know the fans don't like people giving him a bit of grief, but you know what? He kind of brings it on himself, doesn't he, sometimes? Shushing the crowd when you're 50 points down, Harley.
That was quite funny.
It was funny, but like from the perspective of what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Anyway,
it's like that infamous call of Chris Paul hits a three to bring it down to 42 points or something like that in the NBA. That's really the energy it gave off. And it was like, oh, I don't know if your manager told you to do that while he was in town, but you looked a bit silly.
Let's quickly talk about Freo. We spent a lot of time on the Eagles, which is fine. But we've got to talk about the Dockers. Look, an expected win for them, and a very important one, because as Dockers fans, we always worry about coming off a big win like last week against Collingwood.
I always worry about a derby. I don't care where these sides are on the ladder. I'm never going to be happy going into a derby.
See last year. And, but Young was fantastic in 3 3/4 of footy. Managed to get the Ross Glendinning, which is fantastic. Murphy Reid showing he's a great gun for the future as well. Brayshaw just doing what Brayshaw does.
15 score involvements for Murphy Reid. That is 15. Unbelievable.
He's good, isn't he?
He's very good.
He's good. Some negatives for Freo. Stop dropping it on Isaiah Dudley's head. He's 4'4". He cannot take a contested mark above his head, and that's not his fault.
No. And to his credit, he competes very well in the air.
He does.
That is infuriating. That will never not be infuriating to me. A couple of other negatives. I'm really concerned about Neil Erasmus.
Yeah.
He's not it. But in saying that, I one of my biggest pet hates in Fremantle at the moment is the timing of our sub.
Yeah.
We leave it so late, especially in a game like this where, look, realistically by 3/4 time, Fremantle had a pretty strong grip. Now, I know we'll come to a game where that wasn't the case, when it may have looked like it, but Fremantle had a strong grip. I know Young went on, had a good first bit of the last quarter, won the medal. That's all great. But you're not giving this guy any chance. Coming into a contract year, give him, if you're not going to give him an opportunity, let him play for Peel.
Yeah.
Let him get on a list elsewhere. This situation doesn't do anyone any favours. Because Raz comes on, he makes a couple of mistakes, and he did do that. He looks bad. And people like me come on here and say, wow, Raz isn't it.
Yeah.
But then he's not given the opportunity to excel or even show any body consistency. Same thing happened to Narkle. Narkle had 42 touches against West Coast in the Waffle on Sunday. That's very good.
That is very good.
That is a lot of disposals. Jaden Hunt, I think, had about 10. Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see Narkle's back and playing. That's nice. But no, look, we'll move on. Good win for the Dockers in the end.
Jai Amos. Before we move on.
Yay. Frederick. Yay. Everyone.
Yes.
Yay. We all did very well. Yay. I mean, 8-5 last quarter too. We always like seeing some goals. It was raining goals in that last quarter, which is always fun.
Man, a 37-minute quarter, man. I really wanted to go home.
Make the game shorter. Kick less goals. That's the way to do it.
That's usually what we do, to be fair.
That's true. Here we go. Oh, dear. At Marvel Stadium, the next game, North 7-7-49, going down to the Geelong Cats 22-18, 150. I believe, I could be wrong, is that our first 100-point dropping of the year?
It is our first 100-point dropping of the year. It's taken us to around 20.
Which is good.
There's been a couple that have flirted with it. Yeah. I actually am amazed it's not Essendon, to be honest. But no, unfortunately for North fans, it's the honour nobody wants. We've arrived at the most disappointing North Melbourne performance, I would say, in a very long time. And that's with the caveat they've been bad for a long time. This felt like a real kick in the guts for North. And not only returning back down to earth, but sinking into the earth's surface. Yeah. This was almost painful to watch as a neutral. I'm sure the Geelong fans loved it. I totally would too.
Yeah.
But this wasn't even close to being competitive, Liam.
No, it wasn't, which means there's actually not too much to talk about. But there are a few little caveats. Obviously, Jeremy Cameron, 11 goals. Not a bad day in the park. They're already talking about his 100th now. What he has to do to get there, I think he has to average 7 a game. Can he do it? Maybe. But between him and Shannon Neal, Jesse, those two alone outscored 10 teams with their 92 combined points this particular round. Oh, no.
Maybe that's next week's deep dive. Could a team of Jeremy Neal and Jeremy Cameron and Shannon Neal. That's, you know what, so efficient we're combining the players. Could a team of Jeremy Cameron and Shannon Neal beat your club? Well, if you scored less than 92 points this week, yes.
Just those two. That's it. No one else. That's how bloody good they are. But no,
they can have Toby Pink.
I can Toby Pink as well. It's true. Nothing much to say, is there, Jesse? Okay. We'll move on.
sorry, North. And sorry, Geelong, if you wanted a big, robust analysis, Bailey Smith was very good. Max Hose was very good. Jeremy Cameron was unbelievable. The defence had a pretty good night. I don't know what else I can expand on here. It was very easy. The most pedestrian result I feel like we've seen all season, and the margin reflected that.
It did. Let's move on to another game where another smashing. It was a Saturday night of smashings at Adelaide Oval. Adelaide, 2013, 133. Defeating the Power 5-5-35. Holy shit. That's in that weather as well. In that weather, to put 133 on the board in what was a torrential rain in the second quarter and then having to have the slippery conditions the rest of the game. They just adjusted to it. They started getting grubby. Half the pitch was mud and they still managed to get it going. This is a very scary team, Adelaide. Very scary team.
They are. And this is much like we talk about in the context of Western Derbies for Fremantle. This is always a hurdle you need to jump if you're the better side in the state in any given season. You still got to go and beat your rivals twice. The Crows have done that. It was a lot easier this time than it was last time. The combined march is now over 100 points. It's 103. Port will be very disappointed at the 93-point regression they've had from about April to now. That's quite bad, especially in worse football conditions. This Port Adelaide are the second best worst team at the moment, being in that 11th spot. That's quite terrifying because they were awful. Adelaide were completely dominant. Thilthorpe, Saligo. I thought Saligo actually probably should have gotten the medal. I thought he was a bit stiff to miss out to Thilthorpe, to be honest. But look, this was complete command. You could honestly cut the medal in 22 pieces. Yeah. And 23 pieces really, and dish it out a slither apiece because they were just so dominant as a team, the Crows. They get the job done. They get a big win that their fans will remember for a long time, and it would have been a great day in the workplace today as a Crows fan if you were going in to rub it in just that little bit extra to their Port colleagues, because this was as dominant as you're going to see. They are right in that frame now for a premiership. They're a game off Collingwood. They've got a big game this week, but they're one of the only two teams in the competition to have won 5 on the bounce. So they're hitting form at the right time.
Riley's beard grew about 2 inches in that game, I reckon. He was very good. And Josh Worrell, I think we mentioned him earlier today. Another 11 intercept marks, which is fantastic. He's building an impressive CV without being overly unassuming. Jesse, yes. He's unassuming. He's
gets
one of those
the job
players,
done.
He gets the job done. And every team needs a player like that. Would you liken him to a Switkowski? He's there. No one really knows he's there, but he's bloody good.
Well, he's a bit taller, and
that's not hard.
In a different position. That is also true. Who would I liken him to? It's actually a very... I'll go Josh Battle at Hawthorn. I think similar in terms of that, underrated, but just very good at getting the job done. Obviously, the compensation that Battle got for his free agency move to Hawthorn put him closer to his correct rating, but Battle's one of the best fans in the competition. I think Worrell was heading down that path.
Yeah. You were saying how Adelaide fans be going to work gloating this week. I feel like I couldn't do that for this derby, for the Freo one. Just going back a little bit.
Punching down.
Yeah, punching down. I felt bad. All right, let's move on because another smash. We've got 2 more games to go. Let's rock and roll to Sunday at the MCG. Richmond 8-9-57 going down to the Magpies 13-15-93. Again, spirited effort by the Tigers. You know, for the first half, they were well and truly in it, as is true to form. Third quarter, fourth quarter, probably tied out a little bit. Collingwood showed their skill and ran away with it.
I mean, a 6-goal loss to the current minor premiers is nothing to sneeze at for Richmond. They can be really happy with this, and they were in it for a long way. A much needed 4 points for Collingwood. They needed to arrest momentum, and honestly, this could have gone completely wrong with the game being in the balance. This could have been a complete and total meltdown from the Pies. But to their credit, it doesn't matter who they're playing against. They were challenged, and they responded, and they won. They got the job done. Nick Dacos was unbelievable, as he so often is.
Well, Jesse, 42 touches, 1 clanger. We love talking about clangers on this,
we do love
this
talking
podcast.
About
I love a good clanger. 42 touches of 1 clanger is insane.
That's unbelievable.
It's insane. Footballing perfection. People say how good he is. He's bloody good. And it's not like you can even be like, oh, you're just saying that because it's Nick Dacos. No.
The stats don't lie.
Bloke backs it up every single week, doesn't he?
It absolutely does. Collingwood, they're on the right track. Richmond, they're also on the right track. I don't think there's many clubs I'd be more excited to be a supporter of for the next 5 years, if you were to pick me right now, than Richmond. They are right at the top of that list. This is a very exciting side for the future. It's worth tapering that. I do think there may be a difficult year next year. I think they'll shoot up next year and start being very good.
I think
they might have second-year blues a bit next year, but they are very much exceeding expectations for where we'll put at the start of the season. In fact, they're the only team in the bottom 4 at the moment to have not lost their last 5 games, and the only team in the bottom up to 12 to have won more than 1 game, that being 2. So in terms of the losers, they're the winningest of the losers.
Hey.
That counts for something.
It does count for something. Look, there's again another fairly straightforward victory there for the Pies. Anything else to talk about? Or should we move on to this the game that's got everyone talking?
I think we do need to clear the runway a bit here. Congratulations, Pies fans! Another important win, holding on to that top of the ladder. But we do have to talk about a historically significant end to round 20, Liam. I can't believe this.
No.
I've watched this unfold with my jaw firmly on the floor.
I was driving when this game happened. 15-6-96 to the Saints.
I'm glad you're still with us.
I know. 13-12-90 to the Blues. No. 13-12-90 to the Demons. I was driving, Jesse. I had this game on. I was on my way home, and I was just like listening to the call. Like 4 minutes left. There's still time, and I was just like, well, I mean, they've done well to come this far.
The old Dwayne Russell cliche.
Yeah. You know. This time it worked though. Came off. There was actually a chance. And you know what the problem is, though? We've just given them ammunition for the next God knows how long to be like, well, there's 4 minutes left. They've got 7 goals to get. They can still
North
do
at
it.
90 points down in the last quarter against Geelong. Never say never.
But no, this was something else. Like I actually came home and watched the last quarter once I got home because the call, there's something about listening to on the radio, Jesse, that's so nice.
And a good radio caller will put you in that game.
Yeah.
And yet you'll go home and you'll see the play in their voice. Did it happen for you, Liam? Did you see the plays when you were watching it back as it was called for you live?
Well, as I was listening on the radio, all it was the entire commentary box going, whoa! Like both times Wangan and Miller took the both marks. They were just going off their banana. There's always one person trying to keep the commentary going, and everyone else in the box is just a fan, which I love. Like everyone else is just a fan in that moment, in those big moments.
Every commentator has their fan moment. Trust me, it definitely happens.
It was fantastic. But no, let's talk about this because obviously St Kilda had 3 quarters of very mediocre football going into the last quarter, 46 points down. Then just going ahead and breaking the AFL record for third quarter deficit. Forget the miracle on grass. Who cares? Forget Hawthorn Brisbane 95. Who cares?
Brisbane fans.
Well, that's true. That's true. Not now, though. It's not about them anymore, Jesse. It's about the Saints. It's about the Saints. Okay, where do we start? Where do we start picking this off?
Look, we can start by the fact that Melbourne just completely shut down in the last quarter, but I want to talk about the last 2 minutes specifically.
Fair.
And I want to go through a couple of moments in this last 2 minutes. The first one is potentially the most incredible, baffling moment at that point that I'd seen all round, which was Clayton Oliver somehow turfing a ball from 20 metres out on a mild angle out on the full.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he could have done that again if he tried. It was far easier to get it directed on target. That was bad. St Kilda got out of jail there. Happy days. They're still in it. There's a pulse for the Saints. Ball goes up the field. Stoppage. Ball comes back down. Petty's got to knock this through. It is football IQ 101. We talk about low IQ football players a lot on this podcast because nothing infuriates me more. Mm. This is a contender for low IQ player of the season. Just punch the ball through.
Yeah.
There's a minute left. You make it a 2-score game. You're in a 1-on-2, potentially a 1-on-3. You're not bringing it down. Just get the ball over the line.
Yeah.
Half the contest, get it over the line, do whatever you need to do to keep that ball either over the line or in your immediate area. And Petty doesn't do it. Then the ball goes back down the field. Now, this is a great opportunity here for Melbourne because Wanganeen-Miller is up forward, so they've got someone to kick to. So this is where you've got to collapse the contest. And you've got vets here. That was the whole interchange kerfuffle that we'll come to. But they've got veterans on the field. The ball gets through. St Kilda showed run and dash that was unlike anything we'd seen all day from them. Really, they were coming at them. And then, the mark was brilliant by Wanganeen. It was a great kick to Wanganeen-Miller. He sticks it and as soon as you saw him in the area where that ball was kicked, you knew he was going to mark it. You just knew he was going to mark it.
As good as that mark was, there's one fear I have, and that is because of the moment, it might win the mark of the round over Liam Ryan's.
Yeah, that would be a shame.
It would
because in their own right, both would have mark of the year claims for very different reasons. Obviously, Ryan's mark is a better mark.
Yes.
But Wanganeen-Miller's moment.
Yes.
Was something else. Goes back, slots it. Honestly, don't think you could have kicked that any straighter between the two main goalposts. I was a bit nervous. Is that going to really be like a moment that becomes a bit overwhelming? He is still fairly young. You got to remember that. But no, he was built for that. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the absolute circus that was the last 8 seconds.
Yes.
And I don't think circus actually does it justice.
It was bizarre. It was
horrific. I don't know what they were doing. So there was an interchange rotation. They end up short a player. They've already given away a 6-6-6 throughout the day. So it's a free kick. That's amateur hour right there.
Yep.
That is absolute amateur hour. You could find an Auskick coach that would not give away a 6-6-6 violation. If I went down to the local field on Sunday and picked the nearest cow and said, do you want to come coach for Melbourne? They wouldn't give away a 6-6-6 violation in that scenario. That is so unbelievably naive.
Yeah.
Everyone sprints away because it's being given away, which actually makes me concerned it was a set play.
Yeah, this is. I think I mentioned this to you in our chats. I was just
that would be the lowest of low. That would take out low IQ player of the century. Yeah, let's give the team the ball with 8 seconds left in the middle of the ground when there's one kick to a mark.
Yeah.
That would look. That may be the case. I don't know. I haven't seen anything to confirm or deny that.
It would be silly. I think it's that outlandish. I don't think it could possibly be true.
No. But then the umpire correctly calls everyone back because you must start from a starting position of a 6-6-6 free kick. So very well umpired there. Worth giving the umpires their flowers when they make the right decision. That was absolutely the right call. And then Jack Vardy just sees Nazar Wanganeen-Miller run forward and think, nah, I'm okay. The St Kilda Forwards do a great job of drawing everyone out of the way. Marshall, for a ruckman, you're thinking, oh, does he really have to take it? But he laces out Wanganeen-Miller 40 metres on his chest. Could not have asked for a better kick. Could not have asked for a better player to be on the end of it. And it didn't matter what he scored. You knew something was going to go through. He was never spraying that out in the full.
No.
That was an incredible moment.
You can see the replay, all the St Kilda players who were behind him just edging forward and forward because he knew it was going to happen. He knew it was going to happen. 6-6-6, the devil's rule.
But you know what? I'm glad this happened.
Okay.
Because I'm a fan of the 6-6-6 rule. I like it because it requires teams to think a lot more strategically rather than just flood.
Yeah.
And I like that. While I don't think the game is perfect in terms of openness, this rule has helped. And it's not a simple fix of one rule is going to bring back free-flowing 90s football. That's probably not going to happen. This is a good rule, though, in that regard. What do you pay Wanganeen Miller now? Because you can't lose him.
Blank check.
He's gone
check.
from being unlosable to you would actually send the St Kilda to the VFL and bring Sandringham up. Yeah. If they lost Wanganeen Miller. That would destroy the soul of this football club. He and Windhager could genuinely be a star midfield for this team for a decade. Star midfield. Forget Tacone, forget anyone else. Those two are your priorities.
Yeah. I think that was the moment that kind of solidified him as a Saint. Do you know what I mean? Like it solidified him.
They can't lose him after that.
You can't.
They cannot lose him after that. If he wants $2 million, he gets $2 million.
Yeah.
I said it last week. I said if you had to press me about who would win the Brownlow medal next year, I would say Nazile Wanganeen-Miller. I mean, what form has he been in the last 6-8 weeks? I mean, all season, obviously, but the last 6-8 weeks, he has been, I would say, the best player in the competition. I'd put him above Dacos if you're just talking the last 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. I think Dacos wins the Brownlow. I think Dacos is the best player in the competition. Yeah. But if you want to look at something in a silo or in isolation, Wanganeen-Miller has been the best player in the comp for the last 6 weeks, 2 months.
Yeah. I mean, well, every time I do these graphics, his name's pretty much in there every single week for the Saints, without fail.
He is.
He's very, very good. Look, we have spoken a lot about this event and this last quarter. We have to wrap it up. So anything else you want to add quickly about the rest of the game? Is the rest of the game significant?
Well, I think the performance of some of Melbourne's players was significant, Liam. It was disappointing for a few.
I would say so. It's very hard. In fact, well, no one's ever done it before to lose a 46-point lead at 3/4 time. That signifies you had a pretty good rest of the game. How does that just fall off a cliff in a quarter? It is crazy.
Well, in the final quarter, Liam, time in possession, 56% St Kilda, 13% in dispute, 31% Melbourne.
Where'd they go?
Home. Maybe Dean Cox brought the bus down and took them home as well.
Yeah, that's pretty damning. And it's, as a Melbourne supporter, you better be sitting there scratching your head going, why do we bother? Why do we bother? That's the feeling you would have after a loss.
Yeah, having a historical. I still remember in year 10, us coming back from 7 goals down at 3/4 time. So basically the same margin against Adelaide. I'll never forget that. I even got a goal out of that in that comeback. It was a downfield free kick, as is tradition for me. But someone had to take it from the pocket, and that was me. Thank goodness for my left boot, Liam. But look, that's a moment that will live in the memories of St Kilda fans for a very long time. For the right reasons, obviously for the Melbourne fans, for the wrong reasons, but they could really make this memory part of folklore if they get the signature of their star man.
Absolutely. All right, Jesse, we must wrap it up. Good chat as always. Send the lovely people home.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast. If you're enjoying our content, make sure you give us a subscribe if you're on YouTube and a like on the videos that you do enjoy. And leave a comment about what your favourite moment of the round was. And, because it's topical, how much would you pay Nazile Wanganeen-Miller to join your club if you had wholesale powers? If you're on one of our preferred podcasting platforms, a review never goes astray. But the best review is word of mouth. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone you know that is 46 podcasts down into a different AFL show that it's time to come back over here and tune in to the Centimetre Perfect AFL podcast. Until next week, that's Liam. I'm Jesse. Enjoy your footballing weekend.
Bye, everybody.